sparks left in that gun, and that took time. See, this gun is different. This gun, the gunpowder goes in the rear in the breech. Oh, everyone see that cylinder that Bruce is pointing to now? That's called a servidor. In English, they would have called it a powder mug. That's what holds the gunpowder. There's one just like already loaded in that cannon. Now, because of this design, a crew of about 5 men were capable of shooting this gun at a rate of about 3 to 4 times per minute, which was actually rapid fire for its day in 1565. And there would have been 20 cannon exactly like this one lined up along this shoreline. 20 cannon, each one doing 3 to 4 per minute. That comes out to 60 to 80 cannonballs downrange in under a minute. Again, pretty good firepower for its day. Now, some of you folks might be wondering, why would there be 20 cannon here? Well, they were here to protect that field behind you. Some of you folks might have heard the story, some may not. I'm going to go over it. It's real fast, and I think it's really interesting, too. See, a number of years ago now, archaeologists from the University of Florida did a dig in that field, and they uncovered the foundations of buildings that were actually built in 1565. Behind you is, in fact, the original site of St. Augustine. And if you walked across the field, you saw these markings on the ground, big square and rectangle shapes. They marked the location of where the Spanish building stood. There's also round and octagon shapes. They marked the location of where the Timucuan Indian hut stood. See, when Pedro Menendez landed here in 1565, he was greeted warmly by the Indians. They actually gave him that field to use, and in fact, the Spanish and the Indians lived peacefully side by side for about 9 months. Yeah, see, the good feelings didn't last long. That's because Pedro Menendez did something that no other explorer of Florida did before him. See, when he came here with women and children. So now the Indians realized it's time the Spanish mean business. This time they're really here to stay. So about 9 months go by, like I say, bad feelings happen. That entire village was burnt to the ground. Now, the Spanish kept great records. They wrote everything down so the King and Queen of Spain could read all about it, but they never wrote down who burnt down this village. It's assumed the Indians did it, but there is no written proof. So then they go across the river to what is now known as Anastasia Island, and then they stay for about 6 years. Realize that wasn't the best place to be, so they move again to this side and settle permanently with downtown St. Augustine and Castillo, where that big fort stand today. Now, because of Pedro Menendez, St. Augustine is, and I know you guys have all seen the signs, you've heard it, you've read it, it's basically everywhere where it says, our nation's oldest city. Well, St. Augustine is, in fact, the oldest continually occupied European settlement in the area now known as the continental United States. It makes us our nation's oldest city. We are 42 years older than Jamestown. Anybody here from Virginia today?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
The good people at Virginia Tourism have a commercial, and their commercial says, visit Jamestown, see where American history began. Not quite, not quite. See, grandchildren were being born here in Florida before the British even thought about colonizing Jamestown. And St. Augustine was here 55 years before the Pilgrims ever stepped foot on Plymouth Rock. What was documented, it was written down so the King and Queen of Spain could read all about it. September 8th, 1565, the Spanish and the Indians had a feast in the field behind you, and they called it their Feast of Thanksgiving, 55 years before the one we celebrate today. That's your history lesson. All true, all facts. You're going to be tested on it later, so... No, we're going to go shoot a gun now. Real quick, in order to fire a solid 6-pound iron ball like this, it would require 3 pounds of black powder.
That's weird.
3 pounds of black powder is the equivalent to 3 sticks of dynamite. We are not putting 3 sticks of dynamite in this can today for a lot of obvious reasons. Most importantly, you guys want a little bit of your hearing left as you're going back to your cars, and we want to keep ours around a little while longer too. So we're going to fire a small portion of what they would have used, but you're going to get the sight, the sound, the feel, the smell of what it was like to be here in 1565 when this cannon was going off. You guys are ready?
Yes.
Now, I am going to yell fuego, which is a good time to cover your ears if you like. I usually recommend small children, anybody with sensitive hearing, to cover your ears. You're going to hear the shot go off. Correspondent, fuego! And guys, that's how they do
And
it.
like
Hey,
that?
thanks for coming all the way down here to see us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, feel free